Morning, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to the first edition of the annual Open Forum for the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme. We will take an opening prayer from Bridget Corte, and then we can begin with the program. Let's give it up to Bridget as she joins me to give us the opening prayer.
Please let's pray. Father, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for the gift of life. And we pray that every discussion here will receive understanding, it will be fruitful. At the end, we'll be careful to give you all the praise, honor, and adoration. Thank you for granting us all that it takes to be faithful stewards to this mighty name. Amen.
A round of applause for Bridget. Thank you so much. Once again, you're welcome to the first annual Open Forum for the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust, Access Pension Trust. An Open Forum is a time of the year where, as managers of the fund, we get to meet with you, interact with you, take feedback from you, and also give you what we expect in terms of the coming year. And so this is a good, very, very big opportunity for us, and we are so grateful that you have joined us this morning. I'd like to introduce to you some dignitaries in the house, and then we can continue with the program. First of all, I'm happy to introduce the Board of Trustees for the scheme, and that is the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust. And first on my list is Mr. Pakofi Ankoma, who is the chairperson of the board. Can we give it up to Mr. Ankoma? Thank you. Next on the list is Madame Theresa Afile, who is a member-nominated rep on the Board of Trustees. Can we give it up to her? And last but not the least is Madame Dorothy Letitia Ametepe. She serves a very special purpose on the board as the independent trustee of the board. Let's give it up to her also. Thank you. So that is the members of the Board of Trustees, a very, very, very balanced board, and we applaud them for that. I also like to introduce you some personalities. First is Mr. Matthew Mani, who is the Chief Operations Officer for Access Pension Trust. Please, let's give it up for Mr. Mani. And then Madame Louise Sian, who is the Chief Legal Officer for Access Pension Trust. Let's give that. Finally, but not the least, Madame Dorothy Baston, the board secretary or the secretary to the Board of Trustees of the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust. Let's give it up to Dorothy as well. Thank you. In due course, I'll be introducing to you other dignitaries and representatives who have joined us also on this call and in the room. My name is Isaac Oparinoy. I'll be your moderator. As we kickstart the program, we would like to pause here and in a moment of reflection offer our sincerest condolence to the victims of last week's helicopter disaster. From all of us at Access Pension Trust, the board, the staff, and all of us would like to offer our sincerest condolence to their families, the country, and all of us who have been touched in such a horrific way. We pray that may their gentle souls rest in peace. Amen. To begin or to opening the program for us, we will take a presentation. We'll take an opening remarks from Mr. Matthew Mani, that's the Chief Operations Officer for Access Pension Trust, and then we can begin with all the other presentations. So a big round of applause for Mr. Mani as he joins me on stage to give his opening remarks. Thank you. Please, until he gets here, let's continue clapping.
Okay. Good morning, distinguished trustees, executives of Access, and our value contributors to the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme. I'm representing the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Frio Owari, who is out of town. So as a dutiful steward, I will read verbatim what he has asked me to read on his behalf. So it is a great honor to welcome you to the first open forum of the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme managed by Access Pension Trust. This annual gathering is not just a formality, it is a reaffirmation of our shared commitment to safeguarding your retirement savings and advancing the long-term financial security of you, our contributors. So thank you for being here today and for the trust you continue to place in us. Well, one thing has been clear due to the events in the past few years, that pensions assets grew in CD terms. But when you translate that into US dollars, you would notice that significant contractions occurred between 2021 and 2023. This disparity highlighted the painful reality of currency weakness, wealth erosion, and real income declines. These are risks we should be mitigating going forward. Well, today Ghana's economy is changing rapidly. There is a new government in place, and we are seeing some encouraging macroeconomic signals. It is natural that many of you may be asking, what's next for our pension fund? What does our investment strategy look like in this new environment? So this is the purpose of today's forum. We are here to give you answers you seek and to provide a platform for direct engagement with your trustees entrusted with managing your future. So Mr. Gideon Amoeninche, our investment strategist, will later outline the strategic direction we are taking for the next economic cycle. He will walk you through how we plan to optimize risk, return, and liquidity in a stabilizing but still uncertain macroeconomic context. Thank you once again for your participation and for the confidence you continue to place in us. Thank you all. Bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matthew Mani, for giving us the opening remarks. And on that note, we are set to begin with the presentation. First on the list is the presentation on the scheme's investment strategy, the scheme's performance, and the scheme's outlook. And to do that is the investment strategies here at Access Pension Trust in the person of Mr. Gideon Amoeninche. If, as you can see him joining me, please let's do it better for Gideon as he shares with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Opare. And good morning, and thank you all for joining us for the first annual open forum for the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme. And we are especially grateful to our cherished participants for making the time to join us today. It is my pleasure to take you through the performance of the scheme and share our strategic outlook for 2025. But first, let me take a brief moment to take you through our macroeconomic environment in which we operate, because understanding the broader economic landscape is key to understanding how our investment strategy is shaped. I'll move on to the presentation and first talk about GDP growth. So Ghana's economy experienced a notable rebound in 2024, with raw GDP growth accelerating to 5.7% year on year. And if you compare that to the 2023 figure, that was quite a notable and an impressive one. This strong performance was largely driven by the industry, services, and agricultural sectors. Basically, we had expanded production capacity and increased activity in our ICT and financial services sectors. Looking ahead, we expect GDP growth for 2025 to be projected between 4.5% and 5.5%, underpinned by continued recovery across the agriculture, services, and industry subsectors. And the most important thing for us here is that this steady growth outlook provides a relatively stable backdrop for long-term pension investments. I would move on to the next slide, which is on the fiscal side. And 2024 presented significant challenges. The fiscal deficit widened to 7.9% of GDP on commitment basis, and you can see that in the charts shown there. If you compare that to 2023, we recorded 3.3% of GDP fiscal deficit. And this, if you compare it to our history, you can see that we approached the pre-COVID historical average of 8%, which is not good. This deterioration was largely the result of elevated election-related spending pressures. That said, there have been some encouraging developments in Ghana. We successfully completed our debt restructuring, which reduced the amount of Eurobond holders held from 13 billion to 8.4 billion. And consequently, that also led to improvements in our debt to GDP growth. You can see the debt metrics in the table below. We recorded a debt to GDP ratio of 61.8%. And these developments are expected to support fiscal consolidation efforts, particularly as government demonstrates renewed commitment to the IMF program. On the currency front, the Ghanaian cedi experienced considerable depreciation pressures, especially when you look at the first 9 months of 2024. That can be seen in the graph also indicated there. We opened the year at 11.8 per USD, and then we peaked at 16.42 per USD around November, before we saw a recovery to 14.77 per USD at year end. And this amounted to an annual depreciation of 19.18, a notable improvement if you compare to 2023, where depreciation was 27.81. And this foreign exchange relative stability has been supported by gross international reserve, which has increased, equivalent to 4 months import cover. And this buffer was aided by inflows from the IMF and also as well as strategic gold sales under the Gold for Reserve program. Looking ahead, we expect the cedi to remain relatively stable for this year, supported by continued reserve accumulation, which is backed by both traditional inflows and gold-backed initiatives. Now, turning to inflation, headline inflation ended 2023 at 23.8%, marginally higher than the 23.2% recorded at the start of the year. And this fell above the government's targets for the year, which was 20.1. In response, the central bank adopted a more neutral to expansionary policy stance, with focus on guiding inflation on clearly downward trajectory without stifling growth. And finally, on the fixed income market, we saw broad-based rise in yields across the yield curve, largely reflecting investor uncertainty, especially because of the political transition, and mixed feelings towards some economic indicators. And as a result, yields traded, you can see in the graph, yields traded between 27 to 30% range. On the stock market also, we did witness a positive performance, with the stock market composite index returning 56%. I would move on to our portfolio holdings. And just before I touch on the holdings, I would want to just remind us what our portfolio or investment objective is. The return objective of the Secure Pension Occupational Master Trust Scheme, as outlined in our IPS, is to achieve a positive real return over a rolling 3-year period. and then also outperform the benchmark for the portfolio by at least 100 basis points over the same horizon. Now, this largely reflects our commitment to long-term value creation while protecting the purchasing power of our members. Now, I'll talk about the holdings, and you can see here the various asset classes that we are invested in, the maximum allocation per the NPRA guideline, our actual allocation for 2024, and then investment income earned by the various asset classes, as well as total holdings for 2024 and 2023. And the key observations here is government securities remain the anchor of the portfolio, even though if you compare percentage-wise, we did reduce our allocation, and this reflects our strategic rebalancing away from heavy concentrations. Government securities fetched us about 19 million Ghana cedis. If you move on to money market holdings also, that reduced in value, and it did provide a strong liquidity buffer also whilst contributing over 5.3 million in income. And then corporate bonds also saw a significant increase in both allocation and value from about 642,000 in 2023 to over 11 million in 2024, boosting diversification and income potential. Other asset classes, including alternatives, listed equities, collective investment schemes, recorded notable increase, with alternative and equities more than doubling year over year. Overall, the portfolio grew by over 40 million during the year, driven by gains across most asset categories, despite reduction in weights in government securities and money markets. This composition demonstrates our disciplined and diversified approach to portfolio management, balancing risk and return while staying within the regulatory and policy limits. And this portfolio as well is also positioned for long-term return objectives and in a way to adapt to emerging market conditions. I'll move on to portfolio performance. And here in the table, you would see performance over the last 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and since inception. If you look at the structure, we adopted the constituent fund structure, and this largely reflects our approach to make sure that members are aligned to various portfolios according to their age range. In 2024, or that the last 1 year, performance averaging across the constituent funds or the retirement plans was 16.86. It fell below inflation because we had to change some valuation metrics for the collective investment scheme that largely caused a drag on the entire portfolio. But if you look at the 5-year period, you can see that comparably compared to the benchmark inflation, we were very close. This also, we have to acknowledge that over the period, we've had a period of high inflation in Ghana, especially in 2022, where inflation peaked around 54%. So we largely are long-term focused and doing very well to protect members' purchasing power over the long term. I would move on to our strategy for 2025. And before I do that, I just want to reflect or remind us of some of the major factors, economic factors we considered in formulating these strategies you see here. We acknowledge that inflation, the pace of disinflation is quickening towards the central bank target, a development that has helped restore investor confidence. We also acknowledge that GDP growth continues to support corporate profitability and earnings momentum, particularly in some key sectors of the economy. We see yields are declining sharply, especially on the short end of the curve, leading to some steepening in the yield curve, and this trend is positive for us to extend our duration, which we can get from longer dated instruments. And we also acknowledge that the cedi has posted a strong performance this year against the USD, and so we are less pressured to dollarize our investments. Overall, the economic fundamentals are improving, and with that, our country risk premium is also declining, and you can acknowledge that we've seen some upward revision in our ratings to a better rate. I would move on to the table here, and here you can see some colors displayed. The green shows we have a positive view on that asset class. The yellow shows we have a neutral view. We are still looking out for opportunities, but the strategy there is more of diversification. And then the red shows we have a bullish view. The equities asset class, we maintain our constructive outlook, and this largely because the improving economic fundamentals we expect to reflect in companies' earnings. We are targeting stocks that are of high quality, and then also looking at other sectors that are likely to benefit from the disinflation we are seeing and improving economic fundamentals. On government local bonds, we hold a neutral view, and our strategy here is anchored on diversification. We remain agile to selectively capture emerging yield opportunities, especially in the medium to long term. Treasury bill is positioned as a core liquidity management tool for us. The improved credit ratings we are seeing gives us some confidence that we don't have to expect any negative event taking place with government. And so we are leaning towards Treasury bill to manage liquidity. Eurobonds, we want to maintain our diversified allocation via mutual funds. There are some mutual funds that can give us access to some other sovereigns across the region, and that's our main objective, to get exposure there so that we are able to diversify and manage risk. On corporate bonds, we continue to hold exposure to high-quality issuers. Strong corporate credit presents attractive risk-adjusted opportunities within the fixed income space. And then on fixed deposits, we maintain allocation to high-quality banks. That's also supporting our diversification and liquidity outside government securities. We hold a defensive position on the local government securities asset class. And then on alternatives, our strategy here is to selectively increase allocation, especially to entities or funds that are likely to position themselves to subsectors in the economy that are likely to also benefit from the improving fundamentals. In conclusion, this multi-asset framework enables us to remain flexible, forward-looking, and adapting to changing market dynamics while pursuing sustainable returns. We continue to prioritize capital preservation, income generation, and prudent diversification, all which are aligned to our long-term goals of the scheme. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gideon Amwaninchi, for that presentation. A few highlights that I picked. 2024, the assets of the scheme grew by over 40 million Ghana cedis, from about 155 million to about 195 million. And we're also happy to learn of the scheme's objectives, which is capital preservation and also preserving and maintaining purchasing power of members. If you're just joining us, this is the first annual open forum for the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme, brought to you by Access Pension Trust. We'd like to welcome your questions in the chat box. So whatever question you have, please drop them in the chat box and we will address all of them before we leave here. I'm happy to also report that some of the service providers for the fund are here with us. In the capacity of the fund manager, we have Republic Investment Management Services. If they can give us a wave, thank you for joining us. And then the custodian for the fund, that's Fidelity Bank, is also here with us. Please let's Thank you. Thank you so much. And then also the scheme's independent auditors, Bekatili and Anda, has also joined us. In due course, they'll be giving us a presentation. Right now, we'd like to take the presentation of the Board of Trustees, and to do that is the chairperson of the Board of Trustees, Mr. Pakofi Ankoma. Please let's welcome him as he comes to share his report with us.
Thank you very much, and good morning to us all. Great. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I wish to extend our heartfelt gratitude for the trust you have placed in Access Pension Trust to manage your valuable savings. Since taking over the management of the Secure Pensions Occupational Pension Master Trust Scheme in 2024, we have been committed to upholding the confidence you have placed in us. Your participation in the Secure Pension Occupational Master Trust Scheme reflects not only your dedication to long-term financial security, but also the confidence you have in us to serve as stewards for your financial future. We recognize the profound responsibility this entails and approach our role as fiduciaries with the utmost care, diligence, and integrity. Our unwavering commitment is to serve as faithful stewards, providing the guidance and support necessary to help you achieve your retirement aspirations. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your journey. Your trust inspires us every day, and we remain steadfast in our mission to serve you with excellence. We are once again delighted to welcome you to the first annual Open Forum for the Secure Pension Occupational Master Trust Scheme. This forum remains a vital platform for the transparent communication, offering valuable insights into the performance and strategic direction of this wonderful Tier 2 Master Trust Scheme. In my address for the year under review, I'll explore key topics that shape our investments and financial well-being. These include an analysis of the global economic landscape in 2024, the macroeconomic context within Ghana during the same period, and a comprehensive review of the asset position and returns for 2024. Additionally, I will share an exhortation on the importance of investing, the power of compounding, and the value of staying invested through market cycles, offering encouragement as we navigate the complexities of the current economic environment we find ourselves in. In times of uncertainty, our resolve to uphold a sound investment strategy and prudent decision-making remains stronger than ever. Now let's talk about the global macro events in 2024. The global economic landscape in 2024 was characterized by a delicate balance between resilience and uncertainty, shaped by a confluence of geopolitical tensions, monetary policy adjustments, and market dynamics. The year began with lingering effects from the Russia-Ukraine conflict and Middle Eastern instability, which continued to disrupt energy and food supply chains. These geopolitical flashpoints were compounded by rising tensions between the United States and China, particularly as trade negotiations intensified ahead of the U.S. presidential election in November. The prospect of a Trump administration returning to power with its associated tariff threats cast a shadow over global markets, contributing to volatility in equity and commodity prices throughout the year. Despite these challenges, the global economy demonstrated surprising resilience. The United States, a key driver of global growth, saw its economy expand by 2.8% in 2024, supported by robust consumer spending and a tech sector rebound. The Federal Reserve, which is the central bank of the United States, after maintaining a contractionary monetary policy stance in early 2024 to combat inflation, pivoted in September with a 0.25% rate cut as inflation reduced. Other major economies like Europe and Japan also adjusted their policies to encourage growth as Europe's factories struggled and Asia's recovery from COVID-19 remained slow. The MSCI World Index, a broad gauge of global equity performance, recorded a strong return of 18.5% for the year, recovering from a turbulent 2023 marked by recession fears. Similarly, the Bloomberg Global Average Bond Index, the benchmark index for global bonds, returned 3.1%, benefiting from declining yields as inflation moderated globally to an average of 3.2% by year end, down from 6.8% in 2023. Commodities played a significant role in 2024's economic narrative. Gold rallied by 15.2%, driven by safe haven demand amid geopolitical risk and a weakening US dollar, which depreciated by 3.5% against a basket of currencies. Oil prices remained volatile, averaging $85 per barrel, as OPEC cut production to keep prices from falling too low. And for information, OPEC it's the oil-producing countries of the world, and it includes Saudi Arabia and Russia. Emerging markets, particularly India and Brazil, outperformed the GDP growth rates of 7.1% and 3.9% respectively, fueled by domestic consumption and infrastructure investments. However, China's growth slowed to 4.7%, hampered by a property sector crisis and reduced export demand, underscoring the uneven recovery across major economies. Market volatility was a recurring theme in 2024. The S&P 500 dropped by 5.2% in August due to profit-taking after a strong first half, only to rebound with a year-end gain of 21%. The resilience highlighted the adaptability of global investors who shifted allocations toward defensive sectors like healthcare and utilities, alongside alternative assets such as real estate investment trusts, which returned 8.9%. The year underscored a global economic theme of cautious optimism, where central bank policies and geopolitical developments dictated market trajectories, setting the stage for a pivotal 2025. Now let's bring it home to the Ghana macro context. Ghana's macroeconomic environment in 2024 reflected a cautious stabilization following the severe economic turbulence of 2022 and 2023. The year marked progress under the International Monetary Fund, IMF, extended credit facility, with a second tranche of $600 million disbursed in June 2024, bringing total support to $1.8 billion. This assistance, coupled with domestic fiscal consolidation, helped stabilize inflationary pressures with a band of 23.2% at the start of the year to 23.8% by December 2024. While this represents successful moderation from 2022's peak levels, inflation remains significantly elevated above Bank of Ghana's 8% medium target. The central bank maintained its monetary tightening stance, with the policy rate held at 29% through mid-year before a modest 200 basis or 2% cut to 27% in August, reflecting confidence in the disinflationary trend. Interest rates on short-term government securities eased slightly, with the 91-day Treasury bill rate declining from 29.36% to 27.5%, and the 364-day falling from 32.49% to 30.2%. This adjustment was influenced by the domestic debt exchange program, finalized in 2023, which restricted government from borrowing to short-term instruments, limiting liquidity in the medium to long-term market. The cedi's performance improved marginally, depreciating by 19.5% in 2024 compared to 28% in 2023. This was supported by a 1.2 billion boost in cocoa export revenues and IMF inflows. However, structural weaknesses persisted, including a fiscal deficit of 6.5% of GDP and a lack of foreign portfolio investment due to the absence of a robust long-term bond market. This reinforced skepticism about the cedi as a store of value. Economic growth, however, rebounded to 5.9% in 2024, up from 2.9% in 2023, driven by agriculture and services, though the industrial sector lagged due to high energy costs and supply chain disruptions. Now, how does this translate to the scheme? Against this challenging yet stabilizing macroeconomic backdrop, the Secure Pension Occupational Master Trust Scheme delivered an average return of 16.86% across its three constituent funds. It also represents 20.09% over the same period, about 5 years for a 5-year period, Now, the 5-year return of 20.09% compares favorably to inflation and the CD-USD performance over the last 5 years. Domestic allocations to government securities were reduced to 55% of the portfolio, down from 63% in 2023, in line with our strategy to diversify the portfolio. Our equity exposure, primarily through the Ghana Stock Exchange, also contributed to the overall scheme performance, buoyed by gains in banking and consumer goods stocks. Total assets under management reflected in the scheme's net asset value grew to 195 million by December 31, 2024, an increase of 26% from 155 million in December 2023. The 16.86 return positioned the scheme relative to inflation benchmark of 23.8%. While this outcome reflects the challenges of a volatile year, our diversified approach mitigated downside risks. Looking ahead, we will continue to refine our strategy to balance yield, liquidity, growth, and ensure alignment with members' long-term retirement goals. Now, let me give a short exhortation about compounding interest and how to stay invested through the market cycles. The economic turbulence of 2024 reinforces the timeless importance of investing, the power of compounding, and the discipline of staying invested through market cycles. Investing is a journey of patience and resilience, not a race dictated by short-term fluctuations. The volatility caused by geopolitical tensions, currency movements, and the interest rate shifts can test confidence. But history demonstrates that markets reward those who remain steadfast. For instance, a 10,000 Ghana cedi investment in the Secure Pension Occupational Master Trust Scheme 5 years ago at a compounding average return of 20% would have grown to 24,800 by the end of 2024, despite the various economic downturns we experienced over that period. Withdrawing during a dip season locks in losses and forfeits the recovery that follows. Compounding is the engine of wealth creation, turning small, consistent contributions into significant sums over time. I encourage our members, in closing, to view market challenges as opportunities to strengthen their resolve. Just as a farmer persists through seasons of drought to reap a bountiful harvest, investors who endure volatility with a long-term perspective will see the fruits of their discipline. Let us remain committed to our retirement goals, trusting in the Secure Pension Occupational Master Trust Scheme and its strategy to navigate storms and deliver sustainable growth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kofi Ankoma, and the entire Board of Trustees for steering the affairs of the fund. We are so grateful. As Kofi has shared in his very inspiring report on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we have learned, among others, that investing is a journey of patience and resistance. We've also learned that compound interest is the engine of wealth creation, which can turn small and consistent contributions into significant sums over time. Like Einstein said, the eighth wonder of the world. Another round of applause for the Board of Trustees. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll still want to remind you or encourage you to drop your questions in the comment section, and we will address all of them before we leave here. Next on the agenda is a presentation by the scheme's auditors, and to do that is the auditor of the scheme, that's Baker Tilly and Anda. The rep is ready and will be sharing with us a report as an independent auditor of the scheme. So we'd like to welcome them with a round of applause as they give us the presentation as the independent auditors for the scheme. Thank you. Whilst they put their screens together, please be reminded that the questions and answer session is still open. We will address them before we leave, so we want to really encourage you to please bring your questions and answers. And as I said earlier, if you're now joining us, this is the first annual open forum for the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme, a Tier 2 Master Trust Scheme sponsored by Access Pension Trust. We've listened to some presentations from the Chief Operations Officer as well as the Board of Trustees, which was given by the chairperson of the board. So as we prepare to take the auditor's presentation, okay, so we will skip to the next session, which is the questions and answers, and take a few questions as we wait for the auditor to do their presentation. One of the questions we have here is, could you please share more light on why the fund's performance is benchmarked against inflation? And I believe this goes to Gideon. And so let's invite Mr. Gideon Amwaniche to explain why the scheme's performance is benchmarked against inflation. Gideon.
Thank you, Opare, and thanks for the question. So our long-term objective is to make sure that members' funds are, purchasing powers are protected. In literal terms, if you have money saved with us, we are supposed to grow the money higher than the rates at which prices are growing. If we are unable to do that, what it means is we are actually reducing the buying power of your money. So if inflation is, for example, 16%, and we give you a return of 10%, we have created a shortfall for you of 6%, because when you take your money and go to the market, what your money could have done for you is rather reduced. So inflation basically becomes a benchmark which we are tracking against the performance of the fund to enable us also increase your buying power, so that whatever returns or money you save with us at the end of the day becomes very valuable, because it's able to still do a lot of things for you. But we don't track inflation in a single year. The objective is to make sure over a 3-year period, if you put all the inflation together, the return we are providing you beats that, so that your purchasing power is protected. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gideon, for that answer. So we would like to hear from Baker Tilly and Anda. Please, if you are ready, please turn on your video so that we can see you and hear you. Please, let's hear you. I believe that will be Mr. Bismarck Botry from Baker Tilly and Anda GH. Whilst we are waiting for Botry, please let's be reminded that our questions are welcome. We will answer all of them before we leave here. One that I have on the list is, okay, how can I receive updates on my account? The simplest way is to get your information updated with us. And by that, I mean your phone number and then your email address. If we have any of them, you are sure to have all the updates from us, which includes contribution alert. So anytime your employer pays contributions, you receive an alert via email and then SMS as well. Now, having an updated phone number and email in our system also guarantees you to be able to access all our digital platforms. We'll share a bit about that in a short while. But once your phone number and your email is in our system, you'll be able to access our digital platforms as well as our member portals, which will give you access to so many information. So that will be the answer to that. Okay, we'll take another question, which is asking us about the branch locations. So Axis is a 360-degree organization, which means that in every way we are very capable. We have all the technological platforms for you to reach us. However, if you want to visit our office for any business relationship or whatever it may be, our head office is in East Legon, close to Ghana Link, or close to the Violation Melcom. Also in Kumasi, we are behind Asida House in the Susanna House. You will find us on the second floor. In Takrady, we are between Efia Kwanta and the Takrady Technical University. That's on the Secondary Road, specifically inside Tak Hotel. So once you identify or find Tak Hotel, you see our Takrady office. We also have an office in Tamale where you can reach out to us. But like I mentioned, you can reach us through any of our digital platforms or even our toll-free number, which is 080001860. Okay, so Mr. Bocho, if you can please unmute, turn your microphone, camera on so that you can begin with your presentation.
Good morning to the chairperson, the members, the board of trustees, and anyone present at this meeting. As the scheme's appointed auditors for the year ended 31st December 2024, our responsibility is to express an independent opinion on whether the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. We have audited the financial statements of Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme, which comprises the statement of net assets available for benefits as at December 31st, 2024, and the statement of changes in net assets available for benefits. Also, the statement of movement in net assets available for benefits and the statement of cash flows for the year then ended. We also audited the notes of the financial statements accordingly. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements of Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme are presented fairly in all material respects. The financial transactions of the scheme for the year ended 31st December 2024 and of the disposition at the date of its assets and liabilities, other than liabilities to pay benefits after the end of the year, in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and the requirements of the National Pensions Act, as amended, and the Occupational and Personal Pension Regulations, 2011, LI 1990. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 31st December 2024. Hello, can I be heard, please?
Bismarck, we lost you, but we can hear you now, so you can continue.
Okay. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the scheme in accordance with the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independent Standards, the code, issued by the International Ethics Standard Boards for Accountants, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Under key audit matters, first of all, let me talk about the key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole and in forming our opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. We have determined that there are no such matters to report on. Thank you. Other information. The trustees are responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the information included in the annual report, but does not include the financial statements and our auditor's report thereon. Our opinion on the financial statements does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information and, in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements or our knowledge obtained in the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If, based on the work that we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of this other information, then we are required to report that fact. In that context, we have nothing to report. The responsibilities of the Board of Trustees for the financial statement. The Board of Trustees are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with IFRS accounting standards, the requirements of the National Pensions Act as amended, and the Occupational and Personal Pension Schemes regulations, and for such internal controls as the Board of Trustees determines necessary to enable the preparation of the financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to error or fraud. The Board of Trustees are responsible for overseeing the scheme's financial reporting process. The auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements. The objectives of our audit are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ICES will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if, individually or in aggregate, they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of an audit in accordance with ICES, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the planning and performance of the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatements of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error. Design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal control. We also obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the scheme's internal control. We also evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by the trustees. We also conclude on the appropriateness of trustees' use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the scheme's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statement, or, if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the scheme to cease to continue as a going concern. We also evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statement, including the disclosures and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. We are required to communicate with the board regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identified during our audit. Our report on other legal and regulatory requirements. The National Pensions Act 2008, Act 766, as amended, and the Occupational and Personal Pension Schemes General Regulations 2011, LI 1990, requires that in carrying out our audit work, we consider and report on the following matters. We confirm that the financial statements relating to the scheme are properly drawn up to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of the audit. We confirm that, in our opinion, proper accounting and other records have been kept during the relevant financial period in respect of the funds of the scheme, the scheme's assets, and financial transactions entered into in relation to the scheme. We confirm that requirements specified in the guidelines and under Regulation 35 with respect to prohibited investment practices and the guidelines on investment of pensions funds have been complied with fully as at the end of that period. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in the independent auditor's report is KB Under. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bismarck from Bekatili and GH. We are grateful. Please stay with us. Once we get any question, we would be happy if you can address that for us. We still want to encourage you to please drop in your questions so that we can address them at the appropriate time. If you're just joining us, this is still the annual open forum for the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme. I'm happy to also announce that SEM Capital is here with us. They are one of our partners also here at Access. If you can give us a wave. Thank you for coming. Thank you. They are a fund manager with us on other schemes. We will move straight to the next session of the program where we look at the new service introductions by Access Pension Trust, and I will be doing that for the program. I would like to begin by introducing members to Access's digital platforms, which are very, very, very important to us because they are your direct access to every information concerning your account. The very first one I would like to introduce you to is, let me call it the magic short code, *1860#. *1860#. It's a USSD code that combines the adult age in Ghana, which is 18, and the retirement age, which is 60. So it's impossible to forget. *1860#. Once you register, every day, no matter what the time it is, no matter what phone you use, whether it's a YAM phone or it's the latest iPhone 16 Pro Max, you can check your balance and check other information concerning your account. So we want to kindly encourage everyone to register for the short code. Beyond the short code, there's also a mobile app that gives you, let me say, enhanced information beyond even the 1860. So if you have a smartphone, you can visit the iOS store or the Android store and then download the Access Pension app. The name to look out for is Access Pension mobile app, and with your Access account number or your SNIT number, you'll be able to register or log on to the app and check your information. There's also the web portal, which is on our website. Once you visit our website, accesspension.com, navigate to client portal, and with your Access account number or your SNIT number, you'll be able to access your account. Among the information you can find on the portal include your statements, a member certificate, the scheme's annual report as we are discussing today. It is in the chat box, so right now you can access it and read it. But beyond here, when we leave here, you will also find it on our digital, our web portal where you can read. If you have any question, reach out to us at Access and then we will answer that for you. Very key also on the platform is our beneficiary information. Beneficiary information is one thing that here at Access we take very, very serious, because when you take that simple act of completing a one-page form, you save your dependents or the people you leave behind a whole lot of stress. Everyone or nobody thinks they would die right now. When we plan our life, we want to live till we are tired and then we want to go. But most of the time, it doesn't happen like that. Some people drop off along the line. Now, the biggest question is, if you leave, the people you leave behind, how stressful do you want their life to be in terms of assessing your pensions or your funds or your pensions account information? It can be very easy by just you completing a beneficiary form from either your HR or any of our digital platforms. But I'm happy to also announce to you that when you log on to the mobile app or the web portal, you can also do it there, update it. What it means is that today, right now, if you're able to log in, you can update or create if you've not done so before, you can do that on the portal. That way, if you are no more, things are easier for the people that you leave behind. You can always update it. So what you provide today overrides what you provided yesterday, and that's one thing that I want us to take note of. Now, beyond the member engagement also, for our employer reps that are on the call, we introduce to you our Access web portal, which allows you to validate your contributions before you pay them. I can happily report that over 60% of employers are doing that, and some of you are still going through training. Every Tuesday, there's a training. If that doesn't work for you, we can also engage you at a time that is convenient for you to take you through the portal so that you can validate your contributions before making payment. Is a requirement by the NPRA, and we have a portal that is very flexible and very user-friendly that you can use to do that. On that portal, you find so many other reports and information, so please reach out to your employer rep or call our call center, and then we'll link you with somebody that can help you do that. Beyond that is also for members. If you want to update any information like your phone number, your email address, your SNIT number, your Ghana Post GPS, you can do that on our web portal. Please take note, you can do that only on the web portal in terms of updating your information. I also want to remind you that Access offers a free complimentary payroll software. So if you are in need of a payroll software or what you use currently is not helping you, please give us a call and we will happily enroll you to a free payroll software to help with your payroll administration. It's so easy to even sync it with our platforms because they are on a similar platform. Again, also, one of the things that we bring to you are review meetings. Now, between review meetings and the staff education, let me just clarify. Every year, Access would like to meet your employees, engage them on retirement planning, on financial literacy, and so many other information. That's at the employee level. We call it the staff education or staff engagement. Then at the management level, we meet with the key decision makers in the organization. It could be HR people, it could be accounts people, executive management, as many as needs or are decision makers. We would like to meet you in what we call the review meeting, where we discuss with you the details of the fund. We take feedback from you and also give you reports on the scheme level at the global level so that you can also be well informed to explain events or issues to your members. Currently, we've been able to do that for about 12 members of the scheme. We want to encourage all the employers on the call to please make time to put together that committee. It can be as brief as 2 people or 10 people, whichever one works for your organization. Please make room for us. Last but not the least is our Access Pension Plan, which is a very, very perfect opportunity for us to augment our Tier 2 contributions. One of the facts I can tell you is that if you live in Ghana and you are under the Tier 3 system, it is almost 100% assured that you will not get a 100% income replacement ratio. In other words, the income you are receiving whilst working is likely not to be the same as what you receive on retirement. And one of the biggest ways to augment or to close that gap is using the Access Pension Plan. It's a very flexible investment plan that allows you to do additional contribution towards your pensions. You can contribute, you can enroll and then contribute through a direct debit, which is a monthly deduction. That's our first recommendation, where you give us a specific date that on such a date we should go into your account and make such a deduction into what we call the Access Pension Plan, and then it will be invested for you. All the protections, all the arrangements that the law provides for the three-tier system is also available for the Access Pension Plan. It's that flexible. As much as it is a long-term investment looking at your retirement, after a minimum of 5 years of being in the fund, you also can decide to make a withdrawal, even though we recommend that you keep it for the long haul, but it also allows you to make withdrawals after 5 years. I've already shared our branch details. Let me go over our phone number again, which is a toll-free number, 080001860 or 0800-00-1860. It's free for all MTN users. It doesn't have to necessarily be your number in our system. Any MTN number you can lay hold of, just dial 0800-00-1860. Between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. in the evening, there'll be somebody available to talk to you or answer any question you may have. If you're a member here, you can also reach us through your employers. All employers have 2 dedicated relationship managers. So once you speak to your employer and there's any challenge, there's any information you need, you will be assisted to get answers to that. On that note, I would like to pause here and take a few questions so that our resource persons can answer that for us, and then we can proceed. So the first question I have here is that, assuming I was and unemployed, does my fund continue to grow, or what happens? And then let me read the next one, then Gideon can answer the 2 for me. What measures is Access putting in place to ensure the scheme outperforms the benchmark going forward to ensure we get value by keeping our funds with you? So Gideon, 2 simple questions. Somebody wants to know that if he stops contributing, maybe because he lost his job, what happens to whatever funds he has in there? And then someone else also wants to know what measures we are putting in place to ensure that the scheme outperforms the benchmark. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. So the first question, what happens when you stop contributing? Any investments or deposits you make into the fund is invested, and so your deposits are always converted to units. At any point in time that the fund keeps growing and investments returns keep getting higher, your units that you get, when we value the funds and prices go up, your units would definitely reflect the current price. And so once you are invested in the funds, your investments in the fund will keep returning or performing the way the fund performs. I hope I've been able to provide. Second question, what we are doing to ensure that the fund inflation benchmark. I shared the strategy, and the strategy is we are going to overweight our investments in some of the asset classes we have a positive view on. Once we are able to do that, and that positive performance we are expecting comes to play, definitely we'll be able to beat the inflation benchmark and even the portfolio benchmark that we have. So our current strategy would enable us to beat the benchmark. hopefully, if the expectations that we have for the various asset classes comes to pass. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gideon, for assuring us that the scheme is putting in place measures to make sure that it outperforms its inflation benchmark and all other benchmarks, and also confirming that once your contributions are in the fund, it continues to grow even if you are not adding more contributions. To the Board of Trustees, somebody would like to know how trustees are compensated for their work. Does Access bear it or the scheme bear it? I believe... yes, so please let's welcome the board chairperson to answer that for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We wish it was free, but it wasn't free. It's not free. This service is not free. So the law joins us to charge a total of 2.5% of the total asset value as fees for various service providers. So if you look on the annual report that has been shared, you see a list of service providers, including fund managers, custodians, independent trustees, and trustees. The good thing is that we at Access charge fees. So the trustees are paid from the fees charged by Access. So it doesn't necessarily have to be individually we are charging you anything extra. The fees are paid to Access. Access then pays the trustees and then pays the fund managers, the custodians, and any other service provider. Thank you. And MPRA, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, lest I forget that.
So as Pakofi said, the details of all fees that have been charged can be found in the annual reports. As I mentioned earlier, you can find it in the chats of this meeting. Beyond this meeting, if you visit any of our digital platforms, our web portal, specifically our web portal, you will find the annual report, which will have all the information we have shared here. If you have any question, please feel free to update us or to reach out to us, and then we'll help you. There are a few other questions, some of them I will take. So somebody wants to know how I can update my beneficiary details and then my current details. So let me just quickly touch on that. For your phone number and your email, you can go through your employer rep. That's the easiest way to do it. Just speak to your employer. Your employer will contact us so that we can help you update your phone number or your email. If you visit any of our branches, then you need to come with an identity, specifically your Ghana card, so that once we verify your identity, we'll update that for you. Those are the two ways you can do that. And then once you log on to the portal, on your left side, you will see a section called Member Beneficiary. You can update it. Like I mentioned earlier, as often as you want, you can do that, and we encourage you to always visit to make sure that your beneficiary information is updated. Somebody wants to know or want us to educate him on porting from one pension scheme to the other. The second question is, how can I transfer my funds from another fund? Okay, so the two are interrelated, which has to do with porting. I'm happy to inform you that the pensions law allows members to port their funds anytime they exit that particular fund to another one, specifically to the Tier 2. The process is very, very simple. The most important thing is for you to identify your existing trustee. A lot of people may not know, so that's very key to us. Once you identify that your previous contributions are with trustee A or B, you then contact us either through your employer or through any of our digital platforms, our phone numbers, anything. We will share a form with you. It's not a specific form to a specific scheme. Different schemes, different forms. So once you know the scheme, reach out to us. We'll give you that specific form. Your role will be to complete it, add your Ghana card, and then return it to us. In some cases, we may need your help in getting endorsement from your employer, but if that is not required, then you are done. Access will send an email, official email, to your previous trustee, and then keep you in copy of that email. So all the follow-ups, all the updates, you get to see it, and then the funds will be ported to the current scheme. Let me just say that ideally it should be done within 90 days. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it is shorter, but the confidence that you can have is that we have a team of dedicated individuals whose job is to follow up on your funds and make sure that it comes to us. It's something that we want to encourage you to do as in the porting because it helps you consolidate your funds at one place. And then also, if the inevitable happens, the people you leave behind may not remember that you have worked previously with about 4 or 3 different companies. They may only visit your most recent place of work. And so please let's do that, which will really, really help us. And then the people will leave behind. Somebody wants to know when we will establish a branch in the Brooklyn Half region. So, as I mentioned earlier, because of technology, we are able to serve you from different places. Our Kumasi branch oversees the Bono and the Half regions. And so, if you need any assistance, once you give us a call, we'll link you with somebody from the Kumasi branch and you will be assisted with ease without any stress. You don't even need to travel all the way from Ahafo to the Kumasi branch. Right through a phone call, a WhatsApp, or an email, you can be assisted. Please, if you have any more questions, we'll be happy to take them. Otherwise, then we'll be getting close to the end of the program. As I mentioned earlier, this is the first annual open forum for the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust Scheme brought to you by Access Pension Trust. We have had presentations from the Chief Operations Officer of Access Pension, that's Mr. Matthew Money, who told us about the drive and our desire to make sure that our funds will grow and preserve our purchasing power. Gideon has shared the past performance, what to look out for, and our investment strategies. And then also, we had a presentation from the Board of Trustees who also told us of what to expect in terms of investments being a patient activity and among many other information we had. The independent auditor has also assured us that there were no misrepresentation and that the accounts that they audited or show a fair view of whatever activities that happened in the year. We are so grateful for all of them for this presentation. What we can assure you is that come next year, if we have life and the world exists, Access will come your way again with the second edition of the annual. To encourage you that the directive that came from our regulator, that's the National Pensions Regulatory Authority concerning Ghana Card, is still in force. We are all required to update our Ghana Card through our employer reps. You can give us a call also, or send it to us through email, but you can also share it through your employer rep. And in that regard, every withdrawal that comes must also be accompanied by a Ghana card to confirm your identity. As we wrap up, the announcement or the other announcement is that today at 1 p.m., we'll be hosting the annual open forum for the Secure Provident Fund. If you're also on that fund, then we kindly want to indulge you that meet us at 1 p.m. as we present activities of that fund, as we have just done for the Secure Occupational Master Trust Scheme. On that note, we'd like to say a very big thank you to you first as members of the scheme, because without you, this scheme could not have existed. So thank you, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us this morning. If there are any feedback for the scheme, any feedback in terms of how the fund is being run, in terms of even how this particular open forum has been run, we'll be happy to take your feedback and inculcate it into the future programs. We also like to thank the Board of Trustees for your work, the tedious work that you do for the scheme. We want to say a big thank you. And to management of Access Pension Trusts, especially Mr. Mani, for sharing your time with us. We want to say thank you. And to all other stakeholders that have joined us on this call this morning, a very big thank you. As we wrap up, we'll take our closing prayer from Bridget Corte as we close. So Bridget, let's give it up for Bridget as she joined us. Thank you.
Pray. Father, we thank you for bringing us successfully to the end of this section. We thank you even for the lives of the trustees, the wisdom, the knowledge, understanding you have given to them, even to continue to be faithful stewards, even to our clients. Thank you for the understanding you have brought to them this morning. Thank you for the understanding you have brought to them on the power of compounding and the discipline to stay invested. We commit the rest of the sessions into your hands. This and many other things we ask in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Thank you very much. We'll see you again next year for the second edition of the annual open forum for the Secure Pensions Occupational Master Trust, God willing, in 2026. On that note, thank you for joining us. Bye.